What happens when Hollywood royalty walks onto a live television set thinking the rules don't apply to them? It only took one comment about privilege for everything to explode into the most shocking exit in talk show history. This is the story of how one guest completely lost control on live television. The studio lights were hot that morning. Piers Morgan sat behind his desk, ready for what he thought would be a straightforward interview. Across from him sat Meghan Markle, already wearing an expression that suggested she'd rather be anywhere else. "Thank you for joining us today," Piers began, his tone professional and welcoming. "We're excited to have you here." Meghan barely nodded. "Let's just get this over with." The audience shifted uncomfortably. This wasn't the warm greeting they'd expected. Piers kept his composure. "Well, I'd like to start by talking about your recent charity work. You've been involved in several causes." "I've been involved in important causes," Meghan corrected him, her voice sharp. "Not just several, important ones. The kind that actually matter." Piers paused, maintaining his professional demeanor. "Of course. Can you tell our viewers about what makes these causes so important to you?" "I don't think your viewers would understand," Meghan said, leaning back in her chair. "These are complex issues that require a certain level of awareness." The audience went silent. Piers raised his eyebrows, but pressed forward. "I think you might be surprised. Our viewers are quite engaged with charitable causes. Why don't you give them a chance?" Meghan sighed loudly. "Fine. I've been working on initiatives that support women who don't have the platform I have. Women who need someone like me to speak for them, because they can't speak for themselves." "That's admirable," Piers said. "But don't you think those women have their own voices? Their own stories to tell?" Meghan's face hardened. "Excuse me?" "I'm simply asking if your approach might be seen as speaking over people rather than amplifying them." "I cannot believe you just said that to me," Meghan snapped. "Do you have any idea what I've sacrificed? What I deal with every single day?" Piers remained calm. "I'm sure it's challenging, but we're here to discuss your work, not to attack you." "That's exactly what you're doing," Meghan shot back. "You've been trying to trap me since I sat down." The crew members exchanged glances. This was escalating faster than anyone anticipated. "Meghan, I asked you a straightforward question about your charitable approach. That's not a trap. That's journalism." "Journalism?" Meghan laughed bitterly. "Is that what you call this? Sitting here trying to make me look bad on national television?" "I'm trying to have a conversation," Piers said, his voice steady. "You're a public figure who chose to come on this program. Surely you expected questions." "I expected respect," Meghan said. "Something you clearly don't know how to give." The audience was dead silent now, every eye fixed on the unfolding confrontation. Piers took a breath. "I've been nothing but respectful. I invited you here, I welcomed you warmly, and I've asked you fair questions about your very public work." "Fair?" Meghan's voice rose. "You don't get to decide what's fair. You don't get to sit there in your comfortable chair with your comfortable life and question what I do." "My comfort has nothing to do with this interview," Piers replied. "But since you brought it up, you live quite comfortably yourself, don't you?" Meghan's eyes flashed. "How dare you?" "It's a fact, not an insult. You have significant resources, a global platform, and tremendous privilege. Those are simply facts." "You know nothing about my life," Meghan said, her voice shaking with anger. "Nothing about what I've been through." "Then tell us," Piers said, gesturing openly. "That's why you're here. Share your perspective." "I don't owe you anything," Meghan said. "I don't owe these people anything." "These people are the viewers who support your work," Piers reminded her gently. "The same people you claim to advocate for." "Don't you dare tell me who I advocate for," Meghan said, pointing her finger at him. "You sit here day after day judging people, tearing them down, and you have the nerve to lecture me about advocacy?" "I'm a journalist. I ask questions. That's my job." "Your job is to bully people," Meghan said, "to make yourself feel important, by making others feel small. Piers leaned forward. Meghan, with all due respect, you're the only one trying to make anyone feel small right now. I've been polite and professional. You've been hostile from the moment you sat down. Because I knew this would happen, Meghan said. I knew you'd try to twist everything I say. I haven't twisted anything. I've barely gotten 3 sentences out of you that weren't attacks on me or this program. Meghan stood up, abruptly, her chair scraping loudly against the floor. I'm not doing this. Doing what? Piers asked, remaining seated. Having a conversation? Being disrespected, Meghan said. I won't sit here and be disrespected by someone like you. Someone like me? Piers repeated. What does that mean? You know exactly what it means, Meghan said, her voice dripping with contempt. The producer stepped forward from the shadows, sensing the situation spiraling. Piers stayed calm. I genuinely don't. Please, enlighten me. You're a man who's built a career on tearing down successful women, Meghan said, especially women who don't fit into your narrow view of how we should behave. That's absolutely untrue, Piers said firmly. I've interviewed hundreds of successful women with great respect. The difference is they came prepared to have actual discussions instead of throwing tantrums. Tantrums? Meghan's voice went up an octave. Did you just call me a child? I called your behavior childish, Piers clarified. There's a difference. Unbelievable, Meghan said, looking around at the crew. Are you all hearing this? Are you all just going to stand there while he insults me? The crew remained professional and silent. This was Piers's show, and they knew better than to interfere. Meghan, please sit down, Piers said. Let's start over. Clearly we got off on the wrong foot. There is no starting over, Meghan said. This interview is done. We're only 10 minutes in, Piers pointed out. You agreed to a full hour. I agreed to an interview, not an interrogation. I asked you about your charity work, Piers said, his patience clearly wearing thin but still controlled. That's hardly an interrogation. Your tone, your questions, everything about this is designed to make me look bad. The only person making you look bad right now is you, Piers said bluntly. Meghan gasped. I want to speak to your producer, right now. I'm right here. Piers said. I'm the host and executive producer. What would you like to say? This is a setup, Meghan declared. This entire thing is a setup. A setup for what exactly? Piers asked. You reached out to us. You wanted to come on the show. We didn't ambush you on the street. My team reached out, Meghan corrected. I never wanted to be here. Then why are you here? Piers asked simply. Meghan had no answer. She stood there, mouth opening and closing. Exactly, Piers said quietly. You're here because your team thought it would be good publicity. You're here because you want the platform, but you don't want to do the work that comes with it. The work? Meghan repeated incredulously. Do you think I don't work? Do you have any concept of how hard I work? I'm sure you work very hard, Piers said. But part of that work, part of having a public platform, is being able to answer questions, even tough ones. These aren't tough questions, Meghan said. These are attack questions. There's a difference. Name one attack question I've asked you, Piers challenged. One, Meghan sputtered. All of them. Every single one. I asked about your charity work. I asked about your approach to advocacy. Those are basic, standard interview questions. The way you ask them, Meghan insisted. It's all about the way you ask them. They were asked neutrally, Piers said. If you heard attack in my tone, that says more about your mindset coming in here than my intentions. Don't psychoanalyze me, Meghan warned. I'm not. I'm pointing out facts. Meghan grabbed her purse from beside the chair. I'm leaving. You're welcome to leave, Piers said calmly. But understand that walking out of an interview you agreed to on live television will not look good. I don't care how it looks, Meghan said, though her voice suggested otherwise. Clearly, Piers replied. That single word seemed to ignite something in Meghan. Her face flushed red. You are the most arrogant, self-righteous, condescending person I have ever met, she said, her voice shaking. Because I asked you about your charity work? Piers asked, genuinely confused now. Because you sit there acting like you're better than everyone, Meghan said. Like you have all the answers. Like you're some kind of moral authority. I've never claimed to be a moral authority, Piers said. I'm a talk show host who asks questions. That's it. You're a bully, Meghan insisted. And you're someone who clearly can't handle the slightest bit of scrutiny, Piers countered. Which is interesting for someone who puts themselves in the public eye constantly. I put myself in the public eye to do good, Meghan said. Then do good, Piers said simply. Sit down, have a conversation. Show people who you really are, instead of storming off the moment someone asks you a question you don't like. I don't like you, Meghan said flatly. That's fine, Piers said. You don't have to, like me. But you did agree to be here. That was a mistake, Meghan said. Apparently, Piers agreed. Meghan's eyes widened. You're impossible. I'm really not, Piers said. I'm actually quite easy to talk to when people come prepared to have an honest conversation instead of looking for reasons to be offended. I'm not looking for reasons, Meghan said. You're giving me plenty. By asking about your work? Piers asked again, bringing it back to the core issue. By attacking my work, Meghan insisted. I didn't attack anything. I asked a question. There's a massive difference. The audience was completely transfixed. Some looked uncomfortable. Others looked fascinated. All were silent. Your viewers can see what you're doing, Meghan said, gesturing to the audience. They're not stupid. I agree. They're not stupid, Piers said. Which is why they can see that I've been perfectly reasonable, and you've been combative from the start. Combative, Meghan repeated, with a bitter laugh. Of course that's the word you'd use. What word would you prefer? Piers asked. How about defensive? How about protecting myself from someone who clearly has an agenda? My only agenda is to have an interesting conversation, Piers said. You're the one who seems to have come in with a script about how this would go. I came in hoping for respect, Meghan said. And I gave you respect, Piers replied. What you wanted was worship. Those are two different things. Meghan's jaw dropped. Worship? You think I want worship? I think you want everyone to agree with you and praise you and never question anything you do, Piers said honestly. And when that doesn't happen, you lash out. This is unbelievable, Meghan said, shaking her head. Absolutely unbelievable. What's unbelievable is that we're 20 minutes into what should have been a pleasant interview, and you still haven't actually answered a single question, Piers pointed out. Because you haven't asked any real questions, Meghan said. I've asked several. You just haven't liked them. There's that tone again, Meghan said. That condescending tone. There's no tone, Piers said, his voice level. You're hearing what you want to hear. Don't tell me what I'm hearing, Meghan snapped. Then stop telling me what I'm saying, Piers countered. They stared at each other across the desk. The tension in the studio was thick enough to cut. This is exactly why people don't trust the media, Meghan said finally. Because of people like you. People like me who ask questions, Piers said. Yes, how terrible. Accountability is such a burden. Accountability? Meghan laughed harshly. When are you held accountable? When do you have to answer for the things you say? Every single day, Piers said. I'm on television. Everything I say is recorded and analyzed. I'm held accountable constantly. By who? Meghan demanded. By viewers, by critics, by people like you, who come on here and try to tear me down, Piers said. I'm not trying to tear you down, Meghan said. I'm trying to survive this ambush. For the last time, this is not an ambush, Piers said, his voice rising slightly for the first time. This is a talk show. We talk. That's literally the entire premise. We're not talking, Meghan said. You're attacking, and I'm defending. Because you came in defensive, Piers said. You've been defensive since before you even sat down. Maybe I had good reason, Meghan said. Based on what? Piers asked. Have I been unfair to you before? Have we had some history I'm not aware of? Meghan hesitated. I've seen how you treat people. How I treat people who can't answer basic questions about their own work, Piers asked. Yes, I suppose you have. See? Meghan said triumphantly. There it is. The real you. The real me is someone who expects guests to be prepared, Piers said. That's not unreasonable. I am prepared, Meghan insisted. Then why haven't you answered anything? Piers asked. Why have we spent this entire time arguing instead of discussing your charity work, which is supposedly why you're here? Meghan had no response to that. She looked flustered. I'll tell you why, Piers continued. Because you didn't come here to talk about charity work. You came here to create a moment, and you have, just not the moment you wanted. You don't know anything about what I wanted, Meghan said. Then tell me, Piers said, spreading his hands. I'm giving you the floor. Tell me what you wanted from this interview. I wanted to be treated like a human being, Meghan said quietly. And you haven't been? Piers asked, his voice softer now. No, Meghan said. I haven't. How so? Piers pressed gently. Specifically, how have I treated you as less than human? Meghan looked around, seeming to realize the cameras were still rolling, that this was all being broadcast. You've been condescending, she said finally. I've been direct, Piers corrected. There's a difference. I don't coddle my guests. I treat them like adults who can handle honest questions. Honest questions, Meghan repeated skeptically. Yes, honest questions. About your work, about your approach, about your public statements. These are fair game. Not when they're designed to trap me, Meghan said. They're not designed to trap you, Piers said, his patience clearly running out. They're designed to get you to think critically about your own positions. That's what good interviews do. Good interviews make the guest feel comfortable, Meghan said. Good interviews challenge people, Piers countered. They don't just lob softballs and let you recite talking points. So you admit you're trying to make me uncomfortable, Meghan said. I'm trying to make you think, Piers said. If that makes you uncomfortable, that's on you. Meghan stood up again, this time more decisively. I'm done. You keep saying that, Piers observed, yet you're still here. Not for long, Meghan said, grabbing her bag. Where are you going? Piers asked. Anywhere but here, Meghan said. That's mature, Piers said dryly. Don't, Meghan warned, pointing at him. Don't you dare. Don't what? Point out that you're running away from a conversation you agreed to have? I'm not running away, Meghan said. I'm removing myself from a toxic situation. The only toxicity here is coming from you, Piers said bluntly. Meghan's face went red. How dare you? How dare I what? Tell the truth? That's my job. Your job is to be fair, Meghan said. I have been fair, Piers insisted. Remarkably fair, considering how you've behaved. Considering how I've behaved? Meghan repeated, her voice rising. You've been attacking me from the moment I sat down. I asked you about your charity work, Piers said slowly, as if speaking to a child. That is not an attack. It's how you asked, Meghan said again. Then the problem is with how you heard it, Piers said, not with how I asked it. They stared at each other again. The silence stretched out. I came here in good faith, Meghan said finally. Did you? Piers asked. Because from where I'm sitting, you came here looking for a fight. That's ridiculous, Meghan said. Is it? You've done nothing but fight since you arrived. Because you gave me no choice, Meghan said. There's always a choice, Piers said. You could have answered my questions. You could have had a conversation. You chose this instead. I chose to defend myself, Meghan said. Against what? Piers asked, exasperated. Against questions about your public work? That's not an attack. That's journalism. It's harassment, Meghan said. Piers laughed, though there was no humor in it. Harassment. You agreed to come on a talk show, and now you're calling it harassment when I ask you to talk. I'm calling it harassment when you badger me, Meghan. Clarified. I haven't badgered you. I've asked follow-up questions. That's literally what interviewers do. Not good ones, Meghan said. Good ones absolutely do, Piers countered. Good interviewers don't just accept the first non-answer they get. They push. They probe. They try to get to the truth. The truth according to you, Meghan said. The truth according to facts, Piers said, which exist independent of either of us. You wouldn't know a fact if it hit you in the face, Meghan said. The audience gasped. This was getting personal now. Piers remained remarkably calm. That's quite an accusation from someone who can't seem to back up a single claim they've made today. I don't have to back up anything to you, Meghan said. You do if you want to be taken seriously, Piers said. I am taken seriously, Meghan insisted, by millions of people. Then why are you so threatened by one person asking you questions? Piers asked. I'm not threatened, Meghan said, though her voice shook slightly. You seem threatened, Piers observed. You seem very threatened. Stop analyzing me, Meghan said. Stop giving me so much material to analyze, Piers replied. Meghan let out a frustrated sound. This is impossible. You're impossible. So you've said, Piers noted, multiple times now. Because it's true, Meghan said. Or because you're not used to people pushing back, Piers suggested. Plenty of people push back, Meghan said. And how do those conversations usually go? Piers asked. Meghan didn't answer. Let me guess, Piers said. About like this one. You don't know anything about my life, Meghan said. I know you can't handle a simple interview, Piers said. That much is abundantly clear. This isn't a simple interview, Meghan protested. It could have been, Piers said. You made it complicated. No, you did, Meghan said. By asking questions, Piers said flatly. Yes, how unreasonable of me. By being hostile, Meghan corrected. I haven't been hostile, Piers said. Firm, yes. Direct, yes. Hostile, no. That's your opinion, Meghan said. It's also the opinion of everyone watching this right now, Piers said, gesturing to the camera. You don't speak for them, Meghan said. Neither do you, Piers pointed out. Meghan shook her head. I can't do this anymore. Then don't, Piers said simply. Leave, but know that everyone watching will see exactly what happened here today. Good, Meghan said. Let them see how you treat people. Let them see how you handle basic questions, Piers countered. Meghan turned toward the exit. Running away isn't a good look, Piers called after her. She spun back around. I'm not running away. What would you call it? Piers asked. I'm protecting my peace, Meghan said. By storming off a television set in the middle of an interview? Piers asked skeptically. By removing myself from someone who refuses to show me respect, Meghan said. I've shown you nothing but respect, Piers said. You've shown me nothing but contempt. Because you deserve it, Meghan said. Why? Piers asked. What have I actually done? What specific thing have I done that deserves contempt? Meghan opened her mouth, then closed it again. Exactly, Piers said. You can't point to anything specific because there's nothing to point to. You're angry because I didn't fawn over you. That's not true, Meghan said weakly. It's absolutely true, Piers said. And deep down, you know it. You don't know what I know, Meghan said. I know you're about to walk off this set, Piers said. I know you're about to create a headlines tomorrow. I know this is going to follow you. I don't care, Meghan said. You should, Piers said quietly. You really should. Meghan looked at him for a long moment. Something flickered in her eyes. Doubt, maybe, or regret. But then it was gone. Goodbye, Piers, she said coldly. Goodbye, Meghan, Piers replied, his voice neutral. She turned and walked toward the exit. The cameras followed her every step. Just before she reached the door, she turned back one last time. You'll regret this, she said. I doubt it, Piers said calmly. But you might. Meghan's face hardened. Without another word, she pushed through the door and disappeared. The studio was silent. Piers sat at his desk, looking directly into the camera. His expression was unreadable. Well, he said finally, that was interesting. The audience didn't know whether to laugh or gasp. When we come back, Piers continued, as if nothing unusual had happened, we'll be discussing the importance of being able to handle difficult conversations. Stay with us. The cameras cut away for commercial break. The crew stood frozen, unsure what had just happened. In the hallway, Meghan was already gone, leaving only the echo of the door slamming behind her. Back in the studio, Piers took a sip of water and straightened. His papers. That, he said to his producer, is exactly what happens when someone confuses a platform with a throne. The producer nodded, still speechless. Make sure we have all that footage, Piers said. Every second of it. Already saved, the producer confirmed. Good, Piers said. People need to see what entitlement looks like when it's challenged. The commercial break ended. The cameras came back on. Piers looked into the lens with the same professional demeanor he'd maintained throughout the entire exchange. Welcome back, he said smoothly. As you just saw, sometimes interviews don't go as planned. Sometimes you invite someone on to discuss their work, and instead you get a masterclass in avoiding accountability. He paused, letting that sink in. But that's okay, because transparency matters. And what you just witnessed was complete transparency. No editing, no spin. Just two people having a conversation, or trying to. Piers leaned forward slightly. The question we should all be asking ourselves is this. If someone can't handle questions about their charitable work, what does that say about the work itself? If someone becomes hostile when asked to explain their approach, what are they hiding? Another pause. I don't have those answers. I tried to get them. You saw what happened. Piers sat back. In a world where public figures increasingly expect platforms without accountability, what you just saw matters. It matters because it shows what happens when someone is more interested in control than conversation. He looked directly into the camera. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why we ask questions. Not to attack, not to ambush, but to understand, to get to the truth, to hold people accountable for the things they say and do in public. Piers glanced at the empty chair across from him. Some people appreciate that. Some people welcome it. And some people storm off the set. He turned back to the camera. You decide which response speaks to character. The show went to its final commercial break. In the control room, the phones were already ringing off the hook. This moment, this interview, this confrontation would be replayed and analyzed for weeks to come. But in that moment, sitting at his desk, Piers Morgan knew one thing for certain. He had done his job. He had asked the questions that needed to be asked. And sometimes the non-answers tell you everything you need to know.